Hey guys, it's Bonnie from Dwelling Logs. I am so excited to finally record a video of our plans for the upcoming 2021-2022 school year. I did the year-end recap and that's been up for a few days, and now I want to show you what our plans are for the future, because it's always an exciting time for us moms, especially if we get to have a few new books in the house. We want to show them off. So that's what I'm here to do today. So we are a Gather Round Homeschool family. That's our core curriculum, but of course it's all your subjects except for math. So I will be showing you all the stuff that I plan to do for Gather Round Homeschool coming up, but I'm going to leave that to the end, because the families that don't do Gather Round Homeschool, that information is just kind of like, it's going to leave you glossy-eyed. So I'm going to start with math, and then I'm going to show you a few extra things that I add in kind of as I see fit, and then I will talk and chat about all things Gather Round. So if you guys have been on my channel before and you've watched my haul or recap videos, then you know that we are an Abeka math family, but we have now decided to switch curriculums. My kids are almost 8 and almost 6. If you put them in grades, they would be in going into grade 3 and going into grade 1. And so last year we did the Abeka Arithmetic 2 for my 7-year-old, and we did the Abeka K5 for my 5-year-old. And my grade 2 guy, he did wonderful. We've loved Abeka Math for him. He's done really well. It was just time for a change. Because in my opinion, if you're not going to do the Abeka DVD series, as the books keep going and growing older, the lessons in the books that the kids can do independently are not meant for homeschooling as much as they were designed for a classroom. So if you're doing the DVD series, that's great. Your kids can still watch their lessons, but I know for me personally, growing up on Abeka, I was always extremely good at math, but grade 4 Abeka Math is when the tears really started. Because even though it did give an example and a lesson at the beginning, it wasn't enough for me independently. You either need to be a mom who does a lesson before her kids do their workbooks, or you need to do the DVD series. So I would like to start building that independence in my kids to start doing some things more on their own. So for us, we have chosen to say goodbye to Abeka for now, but we have loved them for the early math years for my oldest son. Now for my second son, he learns differently. For him to just have a workbook and paper, even though they have beautiful bright colors, it was not a good fit for him. So his learning style is why we're actually moving him away from Abeka already. We did make it through the whole K5 book. We had to stop in the middle of the year and get some other resources from Pinterest and different math games and stuff to give him a lot of tactile learning. And then he caught some concepts and we were able to finish the book. But we've decided to switch him. So we are switching math this year, which is big news. And also, we are not switching both of our kids to the same curriculum because they have two different learning styles. We are trying to kind of follow what they need as best as we can. So for my youngest, who's going into grade 1, who's very tactile, he needs things to look at and concentrate on, not just a piece of paper. We are doing Math UC. So for Math UC, we got the primer kit, we got the manipulatives kit, which I'll just open it up for you guys. Ooh, I can show you guys. It looks like this, and it comes with all of these blocks. So these are like the 100 blocks. They're fairly weighty, and then they have all of these manipulatives too. I have seen these on Amazon that are very similar, except that they have clicks on the edges, so you could take two pieces like this and click them together. And to be honest, if I would have thought through it first, I probably would have bought the Math UC kit or without all the manipulatives. I would just have bought the books and the DVD set, and I would have gone online and I would have gotten the ones that side click together, because I think it's kind of nice to be able to stack them. It's just one more way that you can use these tiles. But this is fine, the quality is fine, I'm not worried about these wearing out or breaking. The only thing I've told my kids is this is not Lego. If you want to play and be crazy, go get Lego. This is for math, it stays in the school pile. So it came with this big box, manipulative kit. It came with a DVD that I do not plan on using unless we need to. We have a lot of screens outside of our school hours, so I try not to have technology and screens during our school hours. So we are going to avoid this at the beginning unless we need it. I may have to watch a little bit of it before we do a lesson. And then it came with, I have these kind of open because we started it. It came with the workbook, which is fairly thick, so that's the workbook, but they're really basic pages, black and white. And it also came with the teacher's guide. I think they call it a teacher's guide. Instruction manual is what they call it. So this is my book. I go along, I read what we're doing, and then this is his book. Now, a couple of things that pros and cons of this book, it's way less bright than Abeka. The Abeka Math, I love the bright colors, but that was really good for my oldest son, who always thought the pages looked fun, and that motivated him to learn. My second son, I believe that he was looking at those pages feeling overwhelmed and not concentrating on the math, but rather concentrating on the pictures. So I am curious to see, I'm suspicious that he will actually do better in this book because it's very bland. But if you have a child who will engage with their math better because of the bright colors, that's something to consider with Math UC. It's just black and white. And I like that all of the squares in this workbook, they fit size-wise in proportion with their tiles. So you can work with the tiles right with the book, which is really fantastic. So that is what we're doing for grade 1. We started with a primer, and we will see how far we get. So far, we're just flying through. Like I said, we finished the Abeka K5, so I think he's a little ahead at the beginning. So we're going to fly through until we hit something that we have to work on a little harder, and then we'll slow down. So, and then for grade 3, I can't believe I'm a boy in grade 3. So he finished the Abeka Arithmetic 2, which in my opinion is a little bit ahead. We did look into teaching textbooks, but I wasn't really a fan of going online. But when we did the testing, he actually scored that he should be put in the grade 4 level. So testimony to kind of where he is at. He is a boy who numbers have come very easily to him. He doesn't necessarily love math. He wouldn't tell you it's his favorite subject, but he's very good at it. He does not struggle. He's extremely easy to teach. And yeah, he's just really well. So I needed a math that would move him towards independence, where I didn't have to sit down and teach him ABC or XYZ or whatever you want to say, but I needed a math that would also challenge him. So I looked at a lot of different maths, and a lot of the ones that were very independent, where I wouldn't have to be over his shoulder, were either required screens, like lessons online or DVDs, or it was more gentle approach. And he just has done so well with a traditional approach to math, and he is advanced that I didn't want to go gentle yet. Another year we may get there, but my evaluation of him this year was that no, he's extremely strong, he loves to be challenged. So if you know your math curriculums, you may have already guessed what one of our top contenders were. And if I can get the title page here for you guys, we've gone with Singapore math. So we've gone with their dimensions math. I kind of debated, I watched a few videos of what kind of math we were going to go to. We don't care about Common Core, but dimensions math, it just seemed like it's their newest one. So I kind of like that it's their newest one, because I always think if there's little feedback and stuff that the company's getting, they might have tweaked them a little bit. So we went with the dimensions math. Now, the review that I read said if you buy dimensions math, you actually don't need the textbook. The idea is teacher has this big book, student has these books. And now the textbook, the textbook is colorful, and it has, my son loves this. Oops, I got some stuff falling out. My son loves that they have like these little like talking bubbles. It's almost comic style, where the characters in the book are talking, and it's really fun to look at. So I know my oldest son is going to like that. And then the workbook is black and white. So the workbook is very basic, and they work together. So first they go through their textbook lessons. They read through all that. He can read through that himself. And then his reading level is at a stage where he can read through that himself. And then he will go through the workbook. Just looking at it and doing a few lessons with him, I can tell that this is going to be a curriculum where I'm going to have to look at the work pages. We'll do a few problems, and if he's got the lesson, if he gets the concept, we're going to be skipping. And if he's having trouble with the concept, we will sit and we'll do all the questions. But there's quite a lot of work and actual like different problems to solve in the workbook, and they go over quite a few problems already in the textbook. So that's just something to keep in mind. Make sure that if you go Dimensions Math and Singapore Math, that you are be prepared to own the curriculum, cross off what you think your kids don't need to do, and go to the next lesson if they get the concept really well. So one thing that I was told that was kind of a hack is that if you get the set and you have this, you don't actually need to purchase the textbook. The reason being is that in this book, if I can find a page for us, in this book when they're doing the lesson, they have a picture of every textbook page in here. So the review that I read, that they said you could just skip this purchase because here's the page. So it's really easy, and if you're doing the lesson with your kids, then they can just go straight into the workbook. Now for me, again, I'm going towards independence. So knowing this, I still bought the textbook so that my son can take these 2 books and go do math. If he needs help, we're going to bring out this big Bertha here and I'll help him with math. Or if I see concepts that I know I'm going to have to help introduce him to. But for him to be independent, I still purchase the textbook and workbook together. So that's Singapore Math. The reviews on it that I've looked at, it's very hardcore, definitely like more challenging math, or a math that is a little bit more maybe in the drill and kill category. So I'm going into it knowing that I'm pretty sure it's going to be a great fit for my oldest son who really excels in math. Also going into it knowing that if there is way too many questions to, solidify a concept, we're going to be crossing stuff off if he's getting it and going to next lessons when, applicable. Something I also was going to mention, what I like to do with my kids when they're doing math, I do like to put their worksheets from their workbooks on clipboards. And I find that this is a really nice way to say, you got these 2 or 3 pages of math to do, buddy, and then you're done math for the day. I love the visual that they can see, oh, this is all I have to do. They don't get that same brain visual connection when you hand them their workbook and say, do page, such and such to such and such. So that's just something that our family likes to do. I thought I would mention. Okay, other stuff. We don't use Gather Round Cursive because the Cursive books don't match the levels that my kids are at. I believe the Gather Round Cursive matches the upper elementary, so my oldest isn't quite old enough for that, but I do love doing Cursive earlier on. So I've actually created my own Cursive books. These are going through A to Z with Bible verses and Copywork. And so this is how we're doing Cursive in the year coming up. And I will link the video to this below. There's a way to get your own free copy of this from me to you. I am planning to make more. I'm not sure if I'll sell them or not, but this one is free, so I will link that below. Go check it out. And then for reading, we're going to continue Bob books for my grade 1er, and we're going to keep going with that. We love Bob books. We are also going to be doing reading books from the Gather Round Ready to Read program once we hit the Ready to Read program. But for now, we're going to stick with Bob books because that's where we started, and we really love Bob. So anyway, so we're going to stick with that. And my oldest son, who's in grade 3 or going into grade 3, he's just running with his reading. You give him a book and he's gone. Like this whole last year, we went from doing Elephant and Piggy books at the beginning of grade 2, just barely being able to read those, to now he can read almost anything. It's phenomenal. So I don't have any kind of formal reading program for him. The other couple things I was going to mention, I have purchased, when I feel so led, to purchase some of those big mega bundles that you see with like all these printable curriculums. We have a color printer, and I have loved those. I take them and I put them on clipboards, the printables that I want to use. I put them on clipboards so we can take a look at them. Some of them are nature studies and things like that. They're just mini things. They're not meant to really supplement anything in our curriculum that I feel is lacking. It's just totally interest-led. It was strawberry season, so we got a strawberry printable, to learn strawberry anatomy. There's things like that. So I do use those kinds of printable resources once in a while, and if you can get the big bundles with a lot of content inside that is something that you'll actually use, they're very valuable. The other thing that I really liked this year was the Julia Rothman Nature Anatomy books, or the book, because I found that when we were doing nature journaling and painting, my kids really loved to not only have a reference picture or a reference object, like a leaf on a plate in front of them or something for art, but it really helped to have this book out and for them to see an example of a drawn and painted version of what we were doing. So reference pictures are great. I love painting from reference, but for kids to look at a photograph is a little bit more difficult to translate into, well, how do I do that on my paper, than if they have some examples of art books. You don't have to get this exact book, but if you have a nature book with more drawn or painted examples of what you guys are exploring outside, then that's really, really handy for doing art. And nature journaling is something that we're really getting into, and I plan to pursue heavily at least until the snow hits, and probably after that as well, but especially in our warm season. My plan for this year is to hit the outdoors hard this summer and just like love it, spend as much time as we can. We're doing the 1,000 hours outside challenge. We've joined the program from Miami Parks, the Outside Everyday Challenge. If you Google that, Miami Parks Outside Everyday Challenge, we've joined that, and that is my plan for the warm season. And then when the snow comes, I plan to shift into a music thing. So what I've decided is for the summer, we're not going to focus too much on music, like music studies or actual instrument and playing and music theory, but I do want to focus on that this winter as kind of my own home project. Call it school. I mean, homeschooling is a lifestyle, so it's not just like your core subjects. So that would be our extracurricular subject that we're going to pursue. But for us, it's just a style. We learn every day from wake up to bedtime. So anyways, now you guys, let's talk about what Gather Round units we are going to be doing for the next year. Okay, so last year we bought the Gather Round Year 2 full year. We bought the Lifer. We loved it. If you want to hear more about the units that we did and what we thought about them, I will link our year-end wrap-up below that you can click on. But you guys, I still have digital files left over. So I have some digital files from actually Year 1 still that I have on my computer, and also Year 2. So we have to still use transportation. We're doing botany right now. Transportation, Canadian government, career and trades, creepy crawlies, farming and food, U.S. history. Those are all Year 2. And then from Year 1, we still have Europe, South America, and human body digital that I have and have not printed off yet. So there's like a year worth of school right here. So we will be going into some of these units in the year coming up. But you guys, it's so hard to not have the new now. I'm undecided what I might purchase at the summer sale. The summer sale is still to come, depending on when you're watching that. July of 2021, the first week, you guys, there's going to be a huge sale for Gather Round. They're going to be introducing a membership, which what information they've leaked out, instead of like having up to buy either Year 1, Year 2, or Year 3, the membership is going to be something like getting to pick and choose units from any year, which in my opinion is going to be great. I love going for the units that my kids will engage with in a topical way, because those units always draw them in the best. So if I can talk to my kids and say, hey, pick one, which one interests you, that has been the best way to work things for us. So I love the membership idea, because I feel like that's actually going to be super engaging for kids, because they can help decide what unit you're going to do. So oh, and I should actually just mention too, if you are new to Gather Round, if you've never heard of Gather Round Homeschool, it is a unit study style curriculum that's all your subjects except for math. It can teach from one teacher's guide. It can teach from kindergarten all the way to grade 12. How they do that is there's a teacher's guide that you read every day, and then all the notebooks are topically similar or the same, but every notebook is a grade or age appropriate level for whatever age your child is. It's amazing, and we love them. So here though, you guys, the Year 3 units coming up, I don't know if I'm going to be able to resist buying these. So in August, there's going to be Living Off the Land, which will be like homesteading, canning, dehydrating. September, dinosaurs with a creation focus. I have to. I think I have to, even though I have enough of digital files for like a whole year of school. October, medieval times. November, entrepreneurship, like math and business. December, Vikings. That one really has my boys interested. January, real life chemistry, which I'm excited about. I don't know about my kids yet, but I'm really excited to find out more about that. February is psychology and the mind, like behavior, cognition, dreams, development, the brain, and more. March is National Parks of North America, Camping Survival, Ecosystems, and Animals. April is Sports and Phys Ed, which might be super awesome. And then May is Rocks and Minerals. You guys, we are actually super into rocks and minerals this year. We got a stone polisher, and I have rocks lining my shelves. I should put a little video clip in here of all the rocks in my house right now. I will do that. So those are the units that are potential for us this year. Like I don't think I'm going to get all of year 3. I'm not sure what to do about the membership. I'm going to wait to the sale to see what it all is, but we will for sure try to be using up some of the digital files that we have already, and then looking at the ones that we just can't stand not to have, I think, from year 3 as they come out. The nice thing about Gather Round, though, is I don't have to buy at the sale. I don't have to buy the whole year. I can buy 1 month. If 1 month I'm like, no, we want to do this unit, I can buy 20 lessons of school on its own. I don't have to commit to the whole year of it. So I love that part about Gather Round. I always tell people who are interested in Gather Round but not quite sure if they want to do the whole year, I'm like, don't worry, try a month, then see. Like, it's all good. If you want the sale, then okay, the sale only happens at convention season or in the summer. But if you're not too worried about the sale, you can just do a month at a time. If you don't know if you're going to use all 10 units in a year, don't worry, just buy 1 unit at a time. Once it's done, or once you're on the last couple lessons, order the next one. So for the last couple years, my oldest son has been doing early reader, which has been a great fit. And my youngest son has been doing pre-reader. And this year, just the last botany unit that we started, we have now transitioned to my oldest son, almost 8. He is doing early elementary, which so far seems to be a wonderful fit. And my youngest son, who's coming into grade 1, he is doing early reader. Now, I might be a little premature to put him into early reader. I'm still kind of figuring it out because he does not read yet. He doesn't know all of his letter sounds. So I'm kind of adapting it for him, but it's giving him a few more work pages. I'm undecided. I may put him back into pre-reader for this year. We'll see. The nice thing is you do it unit by unit, and I can change as we go. And then my youngest girl, who just wants to color, I print the pre-reader for her so that she can have all the coloring pages and once in a while some cutting skills as well. So she is almost 3. So speaking of reading, what we also are going to continue with Gather Round Homeschool is the letters and numbers program. So we did this quite casually last year. We didn't do it every day. We started with letters and numbers. I have them all printed. We started with letters and numbers book 1 because the other ones weren't published yet. And then we switched after, and we started, if I can get my finger in the right place, we started book 3 with my son. So we're still in the jungle. So I would like to plow through a little bit more of this. Once he has his letters and letter sounds done, like mastered, then we will move to ready to read. So whether that's within the jungle or whether that is the next one, I believe it's in the air, is the next one that's going to go through more alphabet things and letter sounds. We'll just see where he's at, and we will move him when he has his letter sounds down. So I have the ready to reads all ready to go. So the ready to read ones are in here. I got to paint for almost all of these. Well, I did. Letters, numbers, and ready to read. I was either painting a lot or at least helping to paint all the units. And they've been so well thought out, you guys. I can't say enough about this. I talked a little bit about this in my year-end wrap-up, how I used to teach preschoolers with autism. And so I have a little bit of a background in early childhood education and with kind of the psychology behind kids at that age and how they learn and develop. And the way that they teach the letters, from the colored lines and the strokes that they get their kids to do, or your kids to do in this program, it's just so well thought out. It's so incredibly well thought out. And I'm very pleased with it. It's not too much. There's like 3 work pages and like a little tiny short lesson to do with your kids. So I was worried last year when we tried it that it would be too much to do the Gather Round pre-reader level in the main units and add on the letters and numbers are ready to read. I thought, ooh, that's too much, because these are standalone. If I only had a kindergartner, I would only be doing these. I wouldn't be doing the main units at all. And so because my older son does the main units, I was like, well, no, I want us all to do the main unit as a family so we can have the same topic together and everything. So I was concerned that doing these whole programs on top of the pre-reader level would be too much. but I don't believe it is. The pre-reader level now, since year 2, and they've adjusted year 1 as well, to be 1 coloring page and 1 activity page in the pre-reader level in the main Gather Round Homeschool units. So my kindergarten son last year, he would do 1 page front and back, a coloring page and an activity page with our family. And then he and I would come and we would do our letters and numbers program, this one. And I would have a short little thing to read, and which was lovely. It's very well written. My oldest son always eavesdropped. He loved listening to us. And then he has 3 work pages in here to like just single-sided, like 1 full page back and front, and then another side of a page. And so it wasn't too much for the year. I was actually very pleased with it. So I'm really excited to keep going with this in this coming year. Like I said, we're going to do letters and numbers until he's got those sounds mastered, and then we're going to jump right in to ready to read. And I love that just permission that I've been able to give myself to say, as soon as he's ready, next book. And you can do this. Just if you're looking at letters and numbers and ready to read, the letters and numbers, the first 2 books are total complete introduction to the alphabet. So you go through half the alphabet in letters and numbers 1, the next half introduced in letters and numbers 2. And then in letters and numbers 3, the difference that I saw is that now they start to learn to write it. You start at A again, and you learn half of the alphabet in letters and numbers 3, but with a little bit of writing introduced. And then the last one is the end of the alphabet. Letters and numbers 4 will finish the alphabet with writing. And by the end of 4, the hope is that your children will know their letter sounds because they've been introduced and they've learned them enough. And then you can go into ready to read. Once your child knows their letter sounds, they're ready for ready to read. And ready to read will teach them how to read. And then basically, if your child can read, 3-letter words, 4-letter words with like the 2-vowel rule, that stage, that's when I started my oldest into the early reader level in the main Gather Round Homeschool units. So by the time you're done the Ready to Read program, you're good to start early reader already. I would say the perfect combination, if you're doing the main units and you're doing these programs, if your child is in either letters, numbers, or Ready to Read, they're perfect for that pre-reader notebook level in the main units. That's how we've done it. It's worked really well. I forgot to mention the mini units plan for next year, which is U.S. History 4, 5, and 6, Growing Up with God, which will be like puberty, health, relationships, identity. They're not 100% how that's going to form, but it's the idea. And then Christmas Around the World. So they already have a Christmas unit, but they're going to be doing another one. And also the novel study for My Side of the Mountain. We really love the novel study from this past year, Underground to Canada. So I'm really excited for another novel study. I think it will be really good. How we do the mini units. Now I've gotten this question actually a few times, so I thought I'd maybe address this in this video as well. We have done the mini units alone, and we have done the mini units beside our units. I feel both are very beneficial in their own ways. If you're going to do them alongside another unit, then obviously if you're hoping to get all your units done or a certain amount of schoolwork done, then it kills 2 birds with 1 stone. In one day you have it all. I don't feel like it's too much. The mini units it's less teacher's guide reading, it's less work pages in the notebooks, so it is doable to do together. It does make for a little bit longer of a day, but in my opinion, not too much. However, if you do it on their own, it's a very nice break. So like for example, when we do Christmas, we did it last year and the year before, we mostly, I guess we did overlap a few days of the unit that we were finishing, but we mostly did it all on its own, and it was lovely. It was lovely because December is the time of year where you just kind of want to make hot chocolate and watch Christmas movies. And so that unit was a great unit to do on its own without another unit overlapped. We overlapped Underground to Canada with another unit, and that worked fine. We did the Easter unit all alone. We kind of did that during our spring break, so we just did the Easter unit that way. So I kind of go with the mood and what I feel that we need. If my kids have been working hard and it just seems like they really need a break from a heavy school day every day, then we'll take a mini unit and we'll just do the mini unit. And then we're still doing a little bit of structure in our day, but it's not very much. And yet if we're like running super efficiently and it's great, it's going really well, then hey, we'll tack on a mini unit at the same time and we'll enjoy them both. So I know some families try to match the topics or have some crossover topics between minis and main units, which I think is a great idea. I haven't tried that yet, but I think it's a fantastic idea. Or to do 2 mini units together that might kind of coincide together. So those are really good ideas for mini units, but how we use them is we do both ways. We stack them with a main unit and we also have done them on their own. Okay, so that is our plan for the year. I don't know if there's anything else I can tell you right now. There's a few things that I find really useful to have in my home as a homeschooling mom. So I'm going to be making another video about the homeschool essentials in my house that just make us function well, and that will be up and coming. I haven't recorded it yet, so I just have to do a little more brainstorming. So if you're subscribed, hit the bell so you know when I come out with a video, because I don't have a regular schedule for posting YouTube videos. But if you're interested, go ahead and do that. Anyway, we will talk to you guys next time. Have a great homeschooling week. Bye.